Hello and welcome to episode 15 of the Lords and Mercenaries podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Steven, and with me I have my two co-hosts, James.
Hello.
And Chase.
Hey there.
This month is the 1-year anniversary of Fire Emblem 3 Houses. So we wanted to dedicate an episode to it that is going to be releasing on the day of the 26th of July.
As you should probably know, because most of you are probably listening to it on that day.
Yeah. So basically we wanted to give our thoughts looking back on the game and how I have only played one route.
Oh, same. I've only beaten one route. Although I have played some of Black Eagles.
One of the things that this episode is going to do for me is it's going to make me want to go play another route of the game.
See, I would have played more if I weren't trying to catch up to James in Path of Radiance. In Radiant Dawn, but at this rate...
That is such a recurring joke on this show. It's crazy.
It is. Until the day when he finally beats Radiant Dawn.
I feel like it happens more in chat than it actually happens in the podcast, but I digress.
Probably true, but by the way, this is a running joke.
What is the best thing about the game, looking back on it, that you can think of? What's the thing that stands out to you the most?
Ooh, so for me, it's definitely just the lore, and I know this maybe is two things, but I kind of put them together, the lore and the characters, because I think more so than any Fire Emblem game, Three Houses does a great job of making sure every one of your units kind of matters. They have a say in things more or less. Not everyone has the same.
Agree with that.
Yeah, not everyone has the same level of importance. The Blue Lion's house is actually really stacked with important story units. I will say that, but everyone has something to say, or everyone adds something to the table that I really appreciate, and it just deepens the lore of Fodlan. And to this day, of all the games, worlds that we visited in Fire Emblem, I think Fallen is one of my favorites. And it may not be complete, there's still questions I have, but I do appreciate the complexity and the depth of it.
And I think a great compliment to that is the fact that every character, including the Almighty Gatekeeper, has both an
Nothing to
English
report,
voice
Professor.
track and a Japanese voice track. I think that complements that a lot on the character end.
Honestly, I think just generally the voice acting in this game was utterly phenomenal on all accounts. I don't think there's anybody I'd call a bad voice actor. Even you're talking about, the Gatekeeper. They got the voice of Alm to do the Gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Really?
Good call. Yeah. Good call, by the way.
He was great.
I agree, but I do think there were some odd choices on who they got to voice. I know maybe I'm being a bit nitpicky, but Ignatz, I'm not a huge fan of his voice. I'm not a huge fan of his voice in Japanese either. It's too low in English, too high in Japanese. Pick one. And I that's the first one that pops in my head. But for the most part, this is a phenomenal dub in my opinion, both English and Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Mercedes in English is not my cup of tea. Definitely better in Japanese. Anyway, sorry.
We've had this discussion.
Keep going.
I will say that for my second route, I will probably go Japanese. I'll probably stick to it.
Yeah, I mean,
because I haven't heard any of the Japanese voices. I only played my one route in English.
You might be kind of shocked with some of them, maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
I think it's fun. I think it's fun to hear, go to a different dub because you're so used to how it's supposed to sound, and then you go to the other dub and it's wait a minute. I don't know if that should be like that, or it's wow, this fits even better. I know it's funny.
That's me trying to watch different, the same anime but with different voice tracks. It's that's not how I picture this character.
For sure.
Having a certain sound.
But I will say that Three Houses does a fairly good job with consistency between the voices for the most part, between the dubs.
So Chase, do you have an answer to my question?
I definitely do, and I'm going to go with the class system. I really love how, reclassing has been around for a couple of games now, but this has just massively opened it up. Like, literally anyone could be a dancer, anyone who's a chick can be a Pegasus Knight, anyone who's a man can punch things. But yeah, joking aside, I think that this is the natural evolution of the Fire Emblem class system, where it's just becoming more open so people can kind of explore, and you don't necessarily need to have the exact same kind of people where, this person is built to be, say, a Fortress Knight. Right? So, but instead, yes, they can do that, but also, hey, they could be a Fortress Knight who uses bows. Or they can...
I think there's a happy medium between having everyone be a blank slate, like, for example, in Fire Emblem terms, everyone be a villager, and the other side of that coin is everyone has to be a dedicated class. I think that this game finds a happy medium between the two.
I agree.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree.
Because everybody's built for, like, specific kinds of builds, but they can be anything you want them to be.
Exactly, yeah.
Totally.
And that leads to a lot of fun.
Agreed. I mean, that actually goes into, again, why I like this cast and unit so much, is because you have a hand in their growth and everything like that, with the teaching aspect of it all. So you really, I mean, granted, like when you're teaching, like they just say one-line phrases over and over again, which can be funny, but you're still...
Is that the one?
Yeah. It's great. Excuse me. I got flustered there.
Anna, too much for you?
Yeah. No, I was trying to think of a one-liner, but I couldn't, and then I got like flustered, and so anyway.
I am Ferdinand von Ayer.
Dang it! Why did I do that one? No, so I love the immersion it brings to it, and it just strengthens your bonds with the units themselves as you help them grow and you understand their weaknesses and strengths, and that's again why I appreciate this whole teaching system and also the class system itself, because it's like I know you, I know what you're good at, I know what you're bad at least this time around. So you're going to stick to this class, or you're going to be this class. Trust me, it'll work out. That kind of stuff. So I like it.
Nice. Other than like the sound, basically, and I know that I've talked about this on the show before. Probably when we did our review, maybe another discussion here or there. I like how you can actually see multiple character models other than two in fights.
Oh yeah.
I like how Intelligent Systems partnered with, I forget their names. They
Koei
do the
Tecmo.
Dynasty Warriors games. Koei Tecmo.
Kawaii Tecmo.
No, not quite.
To build an engine to where you can have, it's not going to look the best. Like the art isn't always going to be all that great, but you will have like actual battalions of people, groups of people clashing at each other. It's a nice little aesthetic change that I really appreciate.
Yeah, I agree. It's a minor thing, but at the same time, it's a minor thing that makes a bigger difference, or a fairly big difference in the grand scheme of things, or again, immersion. Because before it was just two people fighting. These are armies of like 12 people each, or 12 versus 15 or something like that. And you're limited by hardware, and you're supposed to use your imagination about the other soldiers being on there. But with Three Houses, with the battalions being there, it made the armies that you fight and the army that you have, grander and just bigger scale. It made it seem more realistic in that sense.
So, do either of you have another big standout thing that you enjoy about the game?
The music?
Absolutely.
It's pretty phenomenal.
Like, literal top tier Fire Emblem music, and I say this as somebody who loves Fire Emblem music.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I've said this on the show before, and I'm going to say it again. Nintendo, you allowed Monolith Soft to put Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Torna soundtracks on iTunes. Please, let me give you money.
I don't even care if you put it on iTunes. If you just give us a physical release in the US.
That isn't a sound selection CD. Yeah.
Yeah, or that we don't have to import from Japan.
That also.
I may have missed this, but did they release a CD, a Japanese CD yet?
I don't think so, but
Okay, because for a minute I was like, crap, did I miss that? I hope not.
I'm Googling it now.
Like, it might have been, and maybe I just forgot about it. I don't know, which is a shame, but
If I had to guess, maybe. I wouldn't put it past them either
maybe.
way, honestly.
I'm not sure. Maybe things have.
Yeah. So while Chase looks that up, I mean, it's weird because the one route that I played has two of my favorite songs in the whole thing, which is the Golden Deer route. It's the reprisal of
God-Shattering Dance Star.
Well, there's that, which is the final boss, but also the reprisal of Blue Skies in a Battle.
Yeah.
Which I believe is called Between Heaven and Earth or something like that.
Yeah, Blue Skies in a Battle is definitely one of my favorite tracks. That is phenomenal.
Actually, I think one of the things I'm going to call the most about this soundtrack is that for the most part, it's really just one song played in different ways.
True.
Like, you can hear the same leitmotifs and the chords going through pretty much every single song, but at the same time, they're played so differently that you don't feel like you're listening to the same song.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's similar to how a movie soundtrack works, where you have like these note motifs that are played through several different songs. Were you able to find if they have a CD in Japan?
It doesn't look. I mean, I see somebody selling one for $50 that said it came with Scenes of Warfare edition.
Oh, well, that's the sound selection then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best I can find.
What other thing I was going to say about the soundtrack is something that the other Fire Emblem games have tried to do or were looking to do is that when mixing the soundtrack in the battles, you have, in Fire Emblem Three Houses, you have two versions of the same track. I don't remember what they categorize them as.
I believe it's like Rain and Thunder or Rain and Storm. One of those two.
Something along those lines, yeah. But you have one track that's playing when somebody is attacking or defending, and then one track that's playing in the overworld, which I really like.
They did that in Awakening and Fates, and I believe Shadows of Valencia as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that other games were trying to do it. Yeah, I just didn't know if they succeeded.
But I will say that Three Houses' versions are very good too. You know, the storm or the lightning or thunder or whatever tracks they are. The combat ones are, blood pumping, get you hyped for the most part. I mean, it changes depending on the song sometimes. But for the most part, yeah, they're blood pumping, and then the ones at overworld map are somewhat calm at times or sober, or they can't be sober. But yeah, so I think this soundtrack does a good job of when the track plays, it's trying to get a certain emotion out of you, and I think it does a good job of giving you those feels, if you will.
Yeah.
So I guess moving on. I guess I'm not sure where you want to go. Did you want to? Are we allowed to talk about Cinder Shadows, or are we saving that for later?
Okay. Well, I was gonna say we could do things we like about Three Houses specifically, and then we could jump into Cindered Shadows. Well, before we do that, I do have one more thing to point out that I also like as a graphic designer since middle school. The user interface and HUD in this game makes me happy.
Thank you.
Makes me very happy.
I have a friend, and bless him, he's a good friend. We sometimes butt heads on things, and he doesn't really like JRPGs in general, but for some reason he liked Fire Emblem for a while. And so he picked this one up, and he just says, "Oh my gosh, the user interface is just garbage in this game." I was like, "What? It's so good looking. I love especially the battle, like before you start the battles, that like the circle,
dial.
the dial. Yes,
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's very imaginative and creative, unique, and yeah, it works. It's functional. Now maybe there are some things that could be done slightly better, because I guess there is some menu digging, I suppose, but I didn't mind it. It wasn't that bad. I think overall the looks are just fantastic, in my opinion. So Sorry to rag on my friend who shall not be named, but
I also like the little the most minute of touches. I like the little like 16-bit byleth that you can play around with.
Yeah.
yeah, better
Yeah,
than
it blew my mind when I realized you could control where they were going.
right. Me too, man. I think it was midstream when that happened or something like that. I was like, what? But it's much better than, not to compare, but I'm going to compare Animal Crossing. You know, their whole like
Dun, dun.
yeah, you know, their wait screen of death, airplane, whatever. You know, I mean that's aesthetically pleasing, but there's no feedback. Whereas in this one, while it's so minute, there's feedback.
Yeah, right.
Anyway.
So do we want to move on to talking about, and this is going to be a lot more mixed, I think. Do we want to talk about the DLC now? Both the DLC packs and then Cinder Shadows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure.
Because Fire Emblem Three Houses is not a perfect game, and I think one of the things that they did okay at was the DLC packs.
So I'll just start off by saying I think that Cinder Shadows by itself, and this may be controversial, is worth the $25. Everything else, it almost feels like, and I don't want to say that the developers didn't work on it or anything like that, but it just feels like this could have been a free update more than anything. I mean, what Yuritsa was a free update, right?
Yeah, and actually what's hilarious is that Juritsa was free, but Anna was not.
I know, that one is like, why? I'll pay money for anyway.
I mean, we know why. It's because Anna wouldn't let herself be free.
Actually, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if that is one of the reasons why they're like we can't in good conscience be
in Fates
free.
too, wasn't she?
I'm not sure. I never paid for the DLC in Fates.
Same.
I had enough. Except for a Revelation. I guess you can consider that DLC.
I wouldn't really call that DLC though.
Okay,
but we're getting off topic.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we are.
So one of the things that I'm always like, did they add paralogs, or didn't they?
They added one for Juritsa, I think, but not for Anna.
Well, Anna had a paralog.
Did she?
Yeah, she did. With
I know
some
she had
merchant.
a quest, but I don't remember a paralog.
It was a paralog with some like
because
merchant.
because that's actual map content and not just an extra.
Yeah, but here's the thing: it's 3 houses. They didn't actually add new maps.
Exactly. Yeah. We talked about the things we like, but there are definitely some things that are, not great with 3 houses. I mean, we don't have to go into that if you. But...
Yeah. So basically, after talking about DLC and Cinder Shadows, we can talk about the things that we don't like.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's kind of like my structure is just going down.
All right, excellent. Let's do that then. So DLC
was okay in my opinion. Outside of Cinder Shadows, I'll say. I remember when I was discussing DLC with you guys before I bought it, I basically said, "Man, is Cinder Shadows?" Because I really wish I could buy Cinder Shadows alone. And then while I was playing Cinder Shadows and getting my butt kicked, I was like, you know what? maybe this is worth the 25, like James said.
Yeah, I really strongly believe that it is such a good DLC expansion. It's not Torna level, but I think what they did with it and kind of giving like you a more old school level of Fire Emblem experience.
It's hard.
It was hard, and you're not, what we were talking about how much we love the customization and the units can be whatever, and I do like that. But it was also nice to have kind of a set team of who you have to work with and solving up puzzles and solving the maps in that way, and I did appreciate that. One thing I'll finish off my thoughts is before I played Cinder Shadows and as I was like making my review for 3 Houses on my YouTube channel, I put 3 Houses as like my 3rd favorite Fire Emblem game. But after playing Cinder Shadows and then going back to the main campaign and doing stuff there, it had such a good effect on me that I said, you know what, it's my second favorite Fire Emblem game.
Does some of that
so
have to do with that that they added some Cindered Shadows content into the campaign, which was, I think, like you could explore the area and you can recruit the units?
I mean, not really. I like the addition of the Abyss to the main campaign is cool, but it's not like
They didn't really create a
that.
reason or logical reason for it to be added in. It's just there, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but it wasn't so much that. It was just that, I don't know. After playing Cinder Shadows, I just was enjoying myself more. I was on such a high, I guess you could say. Not a drug high, but like a optimistic high that I was enjoying myself more and was looking on the positives a lot more too. So anyway, so yeah, I that's all I want to say about the Cinder Shadows DLC. Besides the 4 units that they added, which I think were fantastic as well. So,
yeah. Chase, anything you would like to say about Cindered Shadows?
Not really. You guys said most of the things that are good about it. I guess we didn't really talk much about the characters that were introduced, but I love each and every one of them.
Mm-hmm. They're strong characters.
Who is your favorite? Really quick.
Balthus.
Yeah, mine too.
CJ, who's your favorite?
Yeah, who's your favorite Cindered Shadows character?
Oh gosh, this is hard. I think it's either
Constance.
It's either Constance or Yudi.
It's Constance.
Yudi is a good second for me.
Yeah, I like
second.
Yudi's class, and also his attitude and character kind of grew on me.
Mm-hmm.
But Constance, before going into Cinder Shadows, I was kind of like, the whole Ojo-sama thing is just not my cup of tea. No pun intended. It's just not me. And then after playing it, I was like, wow, Constance is amazing.
Yeah, I will say that her gimmick is really interesting. Like, it's been some times that we've had like indoor outdoor type skills in a Fire Emblem game.
Right. And that was something they had hid pretty well before release, I think. So it was kind of surprising when you get to that point. It's like, what? Okay.
They should honestly keep that too in future games. The indoor outdoor abilities and such.
I mean, I guess I don't know if you want to like.
I mean, Fire Emblem
steal
has done
someone's
both
quirks.
good and bad with it, so it really just depends on how they handle it.
Okay.
Whether they handle it like they did in Three Houses, or whether they handle it like they did in Thracia 776. Where, for your guys' reference, Cavaliers couldn't go mounted indoors in Thracia.
Which, to be fair, it kind of makes sense.
It makes sense, but it also massively reduced their stats.
Yeah.
One last thing I'll say about the DLC, and then we can move on. Intelligent systems, do this, and not what you did on the 3DS for DLC, please.
What, you mean that making the DLC cost the same amount as the entire game again?
Yeah, let's not have the full game cost $120 in tax in the US. That would suck. But yeah, I think after going through most of the content and such, I do think that it is definitely worth $25.
Mm-hmm.
Which just another one positive about the game is like the value proposition is insane.
Yeah,
like it's nuts. Okay, so there are a few things in my mind that aren't so great about Three Houses. What about you guys? Do you have any off the top of your head?
Yeah, graphics. I think that
Mm-hmm.
that is the big one. In a few areas, I think that while Koei Tecmo did a lot to help, there's clearly they needed help polishing the game or something, because it looks pretty bad at times. I mean, I think the settings and the designs are fine. It's just the resolution and
the actual models and
right. I mean, we've seen better models in other Koei Tecmo games.
Koei Tecmo is very much a studio, of course, because they make the Dynasty Warriors games and the Warriors games. Like, they're much more of like, let's cram as much as we can onto the screen. But if you look at the finer details, that's when you'll see the flaws.
I somewhat agree with you, but you look at Hyrule Warriors and the character models for Hyrule Warriors, the definitive edition on Switch, are so much better looking.
I still have both of those, actually. I need to play them. Anyway.
Yeah. They're so much better looking than Three Houses, and maybe Fire Emblem Warriors. I haven't played Fire Emblem Warriors in a bit. I would have to go back and compare.
Fire Emblem Warriors looks a lot like this game, Three Houses.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the models. The models might be better in Fire Emblem Warriors, but definitely the settings and some of the techniques they used in the model, or the environment models are the same. Like, for example, Three Houses has those pictures of fruit at the marketplace, which I despise. Warriors does a very similar thing with some of the floor textures. They're just pictures, of stones. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to be mean to Koei Tecmo, and to honesty, maybe this is more of an intelligence system thing, because again, this is something that was consistent between the Fire Emblem Warriors and this game. However, you look at what Intelligent System has done with Paper Mario, and yes, it's a different aesthetic, but it's still gorgeous looking on the Switch.
So they're still the main developers of that series, yeah?
Intelligent Systems, yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Very much so. So it's like, what do we? I mean, is it just Nintendo not giving you enough money for Fire Emblem, or what? Which that could very much be.
I think the difference between Three Houses and Paper Mario is that Fire Emblem isn't nearly as stylized as Paper Mario.
I mean, that's completely
Fire
true.
Emblem was kind of their equivalent of trying to go somewhat realistic.
Right, but I do think where they are at, even with realistic graphics, is just not up to snuff in a lot of cases. Like it's almost unacceptable. But you know what? I mean, I got over it. I was having fun. It was fine. It's the designs are still good, but yeah, I think I don't know who needs to be whipped into shape or who needs to let go of who, whether it's Koei Tecmo that needs to go bye-bye or if Intelligent System needs to get their act together. I'm not sure, but I hope something changes for the next game.
So, other than the graphics, the other problem that it is better than Echoes, but is still a problem, is to me the map design. They do the thing what they did in Echoes where they rely too much on where the enemies are placed.
Oh, well, so my issue with the map design is not how the enemies are placed or anything. I think Three Houses is a pretty good job. There was a lot of maps that was like, oh man, this is great. I love this puzzle.
What I mean is like they rely on that too much where they don't it's just open spaces.
No, I disagree. I think that's totally. I think their map design was really good in Three Houses. I think what it is, or at least where the units are placed and having open spaces, that's fine. What my issue with the map design is how often they reuse them.
That's true. Yes. I think some of my favorite maps from memory are actually some indoor ones. Like I remember they implicated like teleporters and such too, really well.
Yeah, like the chapter where you have to go and rescue Flame. Mm-hmm. Excellent chapter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Three Houses did have pretty good chapters, but it was with the world that they were building. It was really a mental hurdle for me to try to get over. Where you'd have this map on the other side of Fodlan, at Fodlan's Neck or whatever it's called. The same map would be on the other side of the other side of the continent or whatever. It's just it boggles my mind. Well, not boggles, that's the wrong word. But it was just disappointing to see that they would use the same environments for that same area. And I know that requires more development and whatnot, but I don't know. I was expecting a little more in terms of variety when it comes to map design.
Especially because the game got delayed. by like
Yeah.
what, a
I
year?
mean,
Maybe? I forget.
I don't remember when it was originally forecasted to release. I think, yeah, it may have been a year. But anyway, look, and if you dislike how the enemies are placed, or that's fine. That's your opinion. But I just wanted to be clear that I was talking about the variety of map designs.
So, I don't. It doesn't mean that I dislike that the enemies are placed. I think in some of the maps, especially like the, like generic grind maps and paralog maps, is that they rely too much on enemy placement. And Echoes had this problem too, where you had broad or wide spaces, maybe with a few sections here and there, but it was packed to the brim with enemies. There are some maps like that in Three Houses. Not a whole lot. Especially because a lot of the maps take place indoors.
Mm-hmm.
But it is an issue that I don't think will go away anytime soon, because it's a Fire Emblem game. But
talking about this does bring up like another point about the level design and game design that I want to see change, and it's getting rid of or having less battle or win requirements be you kill everybody, which I mean that's fine, but I just like the variety, in like tower defense or reach a certain point or something like that. Now Cinder Shadows did that. Like there was more variety in what you had to do. It wasn't necessarily each map you have to kill everybody. For the most part, I mean,
you just needed to solve some kind of. I do think Cinder Shadows did fix most issues of Three Houses. It was like a microcosm of the perfection of what this game could be.
Yeah, and plus in Cinder Shadows you didn't have an excuse to include maps with enemies and bare minimum level design, because there was no grinding. There were no grinding spots. You just went from mission to mission and progressed the story. So, yeah, I mean, Cinder Shadows was definitely a marketable improvement on that. I do agree. What do you guys think of gambits? Because I don't think they did well enough with the gambit system, personally.
I mean, they're just combat arts that are somewhat different.
I like gambits. I used them plenty, and they've saved my butt. And I always wonder, because I've heard people maybe not complain, but they just say like, "Oh, I never used my gambits" or something like that. I'm just like, if I didn't use this gambit, I would have lost this map.
I use them a fair amount. The one thing I will say is that generally I think that the system of battalions was generally well used, and gambits didn't necessarily need to be related to
so that. Here's my main issue with it is because I really like how it encourages you to have your party stick together. What I don't like about gambits and battalions is that every single time you are attacking or defending, a use of the battalion goes away.
I mean, I think that's just risk and reward. I mean,
I would rather have battalions only get used, or at least the uses would tick down with gambits, and the gambits would cost more.
Yeah, but the thing is, there's not just used for gambits. Like, they will increase damage dealt or damage healed or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I hope that they bring the system back, and I hope that they, I guess, balance it a bit more, in my opinion. But so
yeah, it was a good first round for that. One thing I will step in and say, just kind of as a follow up to one of the things that I really did like, is going back to the class system. As I kind of mentioned during last month's episode about the and it was pretty much the entire concept of last month's episode of classes that we want to bring back. For having such an open class system, the actual choices of class were generally pretty boring. Like, they could have really used this as a chance to spice it up some.
And to leech off of last month's episode 2, once you're a dancer, you're always a dancer.
Yeah.
There's nothing else you can do except dance and cast magic, and that's it. There's no other class progression for that path. So, Chase, let me ask you a question, Chase. Do you want the weapon triangle to be completely abolished? Because you still had the combat arts kind of apply the weapon triangle.
Honestly, I think we could go without the weapon triangle.
Because I think after 2 games, well, even though Gaiden didn't have a weapon triangle, but like after a remake and a proper new game, I do think that I would be fine with getting rid of the weapon triangle.
I was really unsure about it going into Echoes, but after playing through both of these games, it really didn't, make my experience any more negative.
I agree, and I think it allows more flexibility in combat, but at the same time, it's still there. It's still ingrained into the system, especially with combat arts. You could go attack a sword user with an axe. It may not go well, but have at it.
Well, I basically said that because do we want even combat arts to have the weapon triangle?
I do think that one reason that the weapon triangle isn't really as necessary in this game is just because everybody's got they've got access to any weapon type they could want. And so that kind of makes the weapon triangle worthless, even if you do have it.
I guess the only thing I will say is that I'm always open to what new ideas IS will bring to the table, and it just depends on what or how they are implemented, So like if we got 3 houses and it turns out that not having the weapon triangle was a terrible idea, I would call them out on it. But having played it, I think I didn't miss it, and I don't think it takes away much, if anything, from the overall Fire Emblem experience. Other than being less simple, because I think when you have the weapon triangle, it becomes
rock paper scissors.
Yeah, that kind of outcome, which still is good. It was fun, but in this way, it's more. Not, I don't want to say realistic again, but there's more strategy involved besides just thinking, okay, the spear will not do well against this axe.
One last negative thing that I will bring up myself is a question of balance, and that is fists can attack 4 times.
Yeah.
That's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like, one of my favorite pastimes lately has been making theory crafting for units to go into heroes. And I really want to find a way to fit fists in the game, but I have no idea how. Because they're just broken. They're brave weapons.
They can be pretty broken. Yeah, it's true. Especially if your character becomes kind of a dodging fiend, or a crit fiend, for that matter. It's
literally by a certain point in the game, I would just have my Bloodth use fists. He's got fists in the Sword of the Creator, and why do you ever waste weapons otherwise?
Right, it's true. Yeah, I mean, who knew the Pope could box? I mean, good for him.
Actually, Rhea can box too, so
yeah,
it's just a running thing.
She's got a punching bag in her room.
Are you gonna bring up the randomizer again?
No, I mean she literally does teach you this is one of the things that she can teach you.
That's her. So the class Byleth gets in the second part is the same class that Lady Rhea is, I believe, right? So, they are separate classes. But anyway, that because she can brawl, it makes sense why Byleth can brawl when he's the holy one or whatever. So my last negative thing that I'll say is,
for reference, Ray's class is Archbishop,
and that's different from
Enlightened One.
the Enlightened one. I think I don't know. Like it almost feels like they're the same, just names different. You know, but because they are able to use the same weapons, right?
I mean, everybody can use the same weapons. That's how this game works.
But you know what I mean.
So, James, what was the last thing you were going to bring up?
Until I was rudely interrupted. I'm kidding. I think I was praising the story or at least praising the lore of the world. I feel like they were going for ambiguity a lot, and you trying to fill in the pieces by doing support conversations and talking to the units outside of battle, and I really like that. But for a game that's probably not going to have a sequel, I don't know how you would do it without like confirming one path. I mean, I have ideas, but I'm not going to go into them now.
Prequel about the 10 elites.
Or prequel would be pretty cool.
I think we should make an episode out of like, could Three Houses have a prequel
Yeah,
or
that's a
sequel?
good idea.
Now?
Let's put that in the back pocket.
Yeah, put that in the back pocket. But I guess what I'm trying to say is there's so many questions to be left, or that are left unanswered, that I want to know more, and I'm glad that opens up for a lot of theorizing, but at the same time it's a little disappointing and almost unsatisfying because we don't know everything and there's still secrets to be had. I feel like Sothis is so interesting, but I don't completely understand her. And same with Rhea in some cases. So, yeah, that's one of my gripes about the story itself. Even though I really thoroughly enjoyed a lot of it.
It's kind of sad that even though if you play through all 4 routes of the game, you're still not going to have everything nailed down.
Right.
And that alone is like hundreds of hours.
Yeah, you would wish and hope that, putting that much time into it, you would at least understand 95% of the game. But I feel like once you've done all that, you understand maybe 75, 70. I mean, that's arbitrary numbers, but still, I that's how I feel at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
Random fact, or random thing that I just realized a couple days ago. So the Japanese name for this game is called Fuka Setsugetsu. And it's basically the 4 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the English name is Three Houses.
Which means that it's only a spoiler in English.
Right. So Three Houses basically indicates that, the three houses in the monastery. And then the 4 seasons indicates the 4 routes you can take in the second half. So...
Oh.
Silver Snow.
Right. So, and that's why they're named the way they are, because the
each represents a season.
Right.
Wow.
So
yeah,
you have flower, moon, snow, fuka, setsu,
and wind.
And each one of those is a name in the title of the second half. And so I was just like thinking about this the other day. I was like, wait a minute, why didn't I say this earlier?
Yeah, bring out the billboard in red tape.
Yeah, I know. Well, and that's why I'm kind of disappointed. Somewhat still disappointed in the name Three Houses. I know we've all grown accustomed to Three Houses' name, but I still think the name Fuka Setsugetsu is just so much better. But how do you translate into English without just being 4 seasons? Is that too much on the nose?
Because then you'll be like, why is it called? Although in English it would be called a Fire Emblem 4 Seasons. Seasons of Warfare Edition. It's partly a naming convention thing, but it's also a spoiler kind of, because.
But here's the thing:
I
it's
can see
only
someone
a
saying
spoiler
a spoiler
because they treated it like a spoiler. And let's be honest, it would be better if they told us about that, because how many people really want to do the Edelgard route and then got screwed out of it?
Good point. When that brings up a point. Why couldn't you just say, Fire Emblem 4 Seasons, and just let people theorize? Be like, oh wait, what does that mean? Oh, and then they learn about the academy. And it's like, wait, is there a secret 4th house, or maybe there's actually 4 routes you can take?
Wait, it's almost like they tackled that. I don't think the Ashen Wolves are a house. Chase, do you have any last final thoughts or something else negative that you want to pinned down.
Wait, what sucks?
Beleth.
Oh yeah,
I'm really to that end. I'm really getting tired of the blank slate protagonist.
Same. Like, honestly, one of my friends is going through and playing through New Mystery right now. And after, like, it's been some time since I played that game, but thinking back on it, people say that's the worst protagonist, but I might almost say that's the best one. Because they have their own personality. And they also have their own side story that, like, puts them in the center of something that's adjacent to the main story. But he doesn't steal the game from Mark.
How would you say that compares to Awakening again? With Robin and Crom?
Robin kind of is the story.
I mean, again, maybe there's a tangent. Maybe we can do this for another episode. But
I was just I was just bringing that up because like we've gotten so many of these archetypes for main characters where I just got tired of it.
we could call this episode "Death to the Avatar MC" or "Death to the Avatar character" or whatever. Boom.
Death
That
of
will
the
get
Avatar.
us clicks.
Perfect.
Death of the Avatar.
Hey, you know what? We can make it rhyme. Death to Beleth.
Yay! I like the way you think.
So basically, this is basically us wrapping the episode up. You want me to name the episode 15, Fire Emblem Three Houses 1 year anniversary, Death to Beleth.
Yes.
No. Well, I guess he wants to. I was saying for a future episode, Death to the Beleth. Yes, where we talk about avatars or whatever. Okay, I do have one more thing I want to rag on about the game. The box art is still terrible. It is embarrassingly bad.
So without editing this episode, we went 50 minutes without bringing up that awful box art.
What's wrong with Claude being upside down? Can't a man be upside down?
Granted, I still like that Joe Zija made that a joke.
Well, of course. I mean, you gotta roll with the punches.
Joe is one of the best things about this game.
It's true.
Straight up.
It's true.
Yeah, like, and he's been playing the game too, like still.
That's good. I mean, if I was a voice actor for a game and I felt comfortable playing it, I'd totally stream.
Yeah, actually, especially right now, he got the voices of Dimitri to go with them, and now they're going to be playing the one route that neither of them are playable in.
Beautiful.
Wow.
But no, seriously. But the box art, like, it's a bit disappointing. I know there are worst ones, but for Fire Emblem, this has got one of the worst in my opinion.
I like the steelbook though.
Yeah, steelbook's good. There's so much good art out there, and it just saddens me that this is what they decided on doing.
Yeah, and the home screen button on Switch is even worse.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's the same. It's basically the same thing, but I guess a little cramped together.
Yeah.
But it's just a constant reminder of what it is. It's like, no, turn on the game, quick.
Yeah. Okay. So, anything else, really quick?
It's a bit of a minor thing, but hey, choices don't actually matter except for that one time with Edelgard. Like, it's not game destroying, but it's annoying.
I would like a Fire Emblem game that's like that does the choices and rolls with it a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even have to be fully choose your own adventure, but
no,
like just as a minor thing.
Yeah.
Going back to New Mystery again. In the prologue, there's times where you're given different choices in the prologue as to kind of like how you're going to characterize your character.
Mm-hmm.
While you're doing that, those choices that you make on what to say will determine what character you get in the next chapter.
You know what? You know what other episode we need to have just for you, Chase?
What?
What the Fire Emblem series can take from New Mystery. Because you talk about New Mystery so much on the show.
It's because nobody has played New Mystery.
It's because it's not.
And let's be honest, if we do that episode, that Jacob is going to get on here because you think I could talk about that game?
Yeah, I may sit that one out.
Yeah.
But I just real quick, the only thing with the options in Three Houses, like choosing, you sometimes get like, and this is not necessarily new.
You
I
get
don't
support
think.
points.
Yeah, support points. So
Yeah,
that's
support points,
something.
so that they can try to hide the fact that your dad dies.
So it's something, but I agree that I wish there was more weight to what you said in some cases.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right,
Okay.
I'm done.
All right, we're done. Okay, we're
They're
done.
my favorite Fire Emblem game. It's great.
Yeah, this is my second, only behind Echoes. Shadows
It is my first ahead of Echoes, but I do want to play Echoes again and play another out of this to kind of solidify my opinion.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep.
Okay, so to wrap things up, James, where can people find you?
Nintendo City at YouTube. I'm going to be having my own kind of discussion with myself. Yes, I'm very lonely. On my channel, so look forward to that. I'll just talking about kind of a year in review of Three Houses, and then also have Battle Royale coming out, Waifu Battle Royale. So please look
Still
forward
have
to
that coming down the pipeline?
It's coming down the pipeline. I have most of the scripts done, but I think I'm just gonna start recording the audio for the first few episodes and just get that pumped out.
Okay. Chase, where can people find you?
You can find me at YouTube, Triforce P, youtube.com/DQ of Power. I'm kind of trying to move a little bit away from my Fire Emblem content on there, but that's not saying it's going to be gone, because I'm going to try to see if I can move all that over to another podcast that I'm working on that's also Fire Emblem, is the Phaology podcast. That's Fire Emblem Heroes based one. It's great. You guys should go listen to it. I'm actually going to be going to record an episode about that right after this.
Sorry, just speaking of Three Houses and Fire Emblem Heroes, that new poll. Oh my gosh! Well, newish poll. No, just the spice. The swimsuits.
The banner? Yeah.
Oh my word! Like.
So Ingrid, nice to see you in the game.
Ingrid, yeah, I did not expect her first appearance to be in a swimsuit, but she looks good. And then you got Rhea's first appearance in the game. Oh boy!
You got Sylvain's first appearance with sunglasses.
Hey,
he's a cool
guy. All I'm gonna say is, I think this has made me a believer in the Church of Seros. Please baptize me, Lady Mama Rhea. Thank you.
Okay. And you can find me mainly on this channel, because I don't have a secondary channel. I am also doing a Let's Play of Pokemon Emerald with Chase and Petter, another one of our hosts on this YouTube channel, as well as a Disney Plus podcast that hopefully we will bring back soon-ish.
I just need to edit
Perhaps.
it.
Yeah.
I say that, but you're not even in that episode. So.
Not the episode that's coming. No. So that's where you can find me. And that was all for today, everybody. Have a good one.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.